Is this the invisible man?
Indeed, it is. Is this Minister Mustafa Saleem of the Lost and Found Nation of Islam under the leadership, direction, and guidance of the Honorable Silas Muhammad?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, you reached Invisible Man 733 Presents. Let's have a little music, then we'll begin the program.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was a little music just to get started. I'm so
Yes,
happy
sir.
to have you to join us. And we did a trailer where we talked about what you would be talking about. And
Yes, sir.
it's Afro Descendants Celebrate Independence Day, which is an interesting topic. So, could you give us a little background about yourself and then we'll get into the topic, please, sir?
Yes, sir. My name is Mustafa Nasir Saleem, and I've been a member of the Lost Foundation of Islam since 1966. And I presently serve in the capacity as Assistant Chief Minister of the Lost Foundation of Islam under the leadership and guidance of the Honorable Silas Muhammad. I'm also a member of the Afrodescendant Nation, and I'd like to discuss a little bit about Afro-descendant and give you a
Please
definition.
go ahead. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Afro-descendants is who we are as a people who were brought here from our original homeland, Africa. That we were dispossessed of that homeland. We were transported to the Americas and the diaspora. The diaspora includes all of South and Central America, the Caribbeans and other islands, and we were brought here for the purpose of being made slaves. And we were, in fact, made slaves. We were subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape. We've experienced through force the loss of our mother tongue, our culture, and our religion, and have experienced racial discrimination due to loss of ties or partially lost ties to our original identity. So Afro descendant is an identity that we as a people who have been done this to, enslaved for over 400 years, brought to these shores, we have decided that we want to identify with our original homeland, and we want to identify with all of our people who have undergone this 400 years of slavery.
Mm, okay. Let's go back a little bit. I
Okay.
think you gave me some serious information. So, first you said that we were forcibly dispossessed from our homeland, Africa.
Yes, sir.
So, is that what is known as the transatlantic slave trade?
Most aptly known as the Atlantic slave trade, that period in which we were transported from Africa to the Americas.
Oh, now the key in the definition is forcibly, right?
Yes,
So we didn't volunteer to set sail like they do on Gilligan's Island for,
absolutely not. Absolutely
okay,
not. We are not migrants either.
yes, sir. Now, what does that mean? We're not migrants. Go ahead.
We didn't migrate here. We didn't
Oh,
come on our own.
because you said migrate. I thought about immigrants. So I
Yeah.
don't want to get into the difference in migrate and immigrant. But now, number two, were transported to the Americas and slavery, and you use the term diaspora for the purpose of enslavement. So once again, diaspora means what?
The diaspora is those areas in the Caribbean and other islands, uh, South and Central America, and the whole area in which this slave trade took place through the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, okay. And we were brought here for the purpose of enslavement. Would you, for a moment, tell us? I said it was not a pleasure cruise. What type of
No.
ships brought us?
The ship that brought us initially over here was this ship called Jesus out of Lubeck, and it set sail under the flag of England. But it was also used in as a Spanish warship. It was used to capture slaves from other ships. It was also used to go back and forth from Africa to transport us from Africa directly. And the captain of that ship was John Hawkins. He
Mm.
had a, he had a cousin named Sir Francis Drake, and
Oh
they
my
together
goodness.
worked on behalf of the Queen of England to steal Spanish gold and to steal cargo, and we happened to be cargo.
Oh, they were pirates, in other words,
They were
as well
pirates.
as traffickers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm laughing because that's something that a lot of people didn't know, and it's just you are a fount of information. Let's go to number 3. And here is where I have to be very serious. We're subjected to slavery. Touch
We
on
were not
slavery,
just
please, sir.
we weren't just brought here for the purpose of being slaves. We were actually enslaved. We are the only people on the planet who have endured 400 years of slave enslavement. And the enslavement that we're talking about is not just bondage and chains, because they didn't complete the bondage when they just took the chains off of our legs and arms and necks. They enslaved our minds,
Mm.
and that's what we're fighting for now.
Oh my goodness. So slavery for us was the most horrific of any type of slavery that has ever existed, is what you're saying.
It absolutely is. We were
Oh,
robbed of our identity, our culture, our religions, our language. We can't even speak our original language.
oh my goodness. Well, this next one is pretty devastating as well. We're subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape. Please address it.
This is difficult to discuss sometimes because of how horrific it was. And especially for our women, they were not able to choose who they would copulate with. They were forced by rape, way of rape, and mixed breeding, in that we were just like cattle, mixed up and forced under these conditions to copulate with whomever the slave master chose for him to produce another child, so that
Yes, sir.
that child might be also enslaved.
Wow. Let me ask you this. I've heard that there were such things as breeding farms.
There were
Oh,
there were places that slaves were breeded before they ever were brought into the actual workforce.
yes, sir.
They were separated from the rest of the people because they wanted to break them
Mm-hmm.
and tear them down, and they had to be brought under those conditions in order to separate them so that they might mix in and be assimilated with the rest of the slaves. So they couldn't
Okay.
just come directly into the workforce.
Now, if I may, something occurred to me as you were saying. You introduced to us the fact that the slave ship named Jesus, the captain named John Hawkins, but you
Right.
didn't give us the date. when it came?
The first ship was brought to the Americas in 1555. And this is where it gets a little tricky at. The history books early on during my elementary school years had documented that John Hawkins was the captain who brought us here on this ship called Jesus. But they're saying in the history books now that it wasn't until 1619 that the first slaves were brought here.
Oh, now
Let's
that's
see
the Jamestown colony.
the Jamestown colony.
Okay, because
And
that's what was in my mind. Go ahead, sir.
the problem with that is John Hawkins died in 1595. So if he brought us here, and it is records that he did bring us here, he could have not have been around in 1619. It would have had to have been before 1619.
Yes, sir.
So it was
So,
part of the breaking process.
mhm. So what I'm saying, hearing is there's been a lot about cancel culture, revisionist, or critical race theory, and all of this is just a confusing way to take away what is really facts.
That's exactly what's going on, and
Oh,
they don't want the truth to come out.
okay. Well, we getting it for real now. You not only gave us the name of the ship, the captain, and the original date. So let's move on,
Okay.
if we may. Uh,
Yes.
experience through force. Again, force seems to be a pattern. The loss of mother tongue, culture, and religion. How devastating could that be to anyone?
How can a people progress, move forward as who they are without their language, without their religion, their culture? We have been made to adopt a foreign culture, the cultures of those persons under whom we serve as slaves, whether it was in the Americas, in the islands, or wherever we were brought to be slaves. We had to endure through force, kind of like they did on Roots with
Hmm.
the guy they called Kunta Kinte.
Yes, sir.
They forced him through the whip to say that his name was Toby when he kept telling the man, "My name is Kunta Kinte. That's who I am." And
Yes,
then he
sir.
said, "No, your name is Toby." And he
Mm,
kept whipping him and kept whipping him until he was forced to say, "My name is Toby."
yes, sir. Now, the author of Roots was Alex Haley, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I happened to meet him and interview him in person in 1983. And
Very
I
good.
was, yeah, but I was very unimpressed with him because after doing research, and I asked him this question. I said, "Sir, after doing 12 years of research, why are you still walking around the planet calling yourself Alex Haley?"
Hey,
And I think it insulted him because I was just a very young person asking such a great writer a terrible question, he felt. But it's a good thing because you're talking about having your language taken from you, all identity, and then once you get it back, why wouldn't you adopt it? So that's just I didn't mean to get carried away.
no,
So
that was the question I
yes,
had
sir.
as well.
Oh yes, sir. Whoa. Well, he couldn't answer it.
I know he could.
Yeah, it was like I kind of slapped him. So I don't want to be rude and slap you with anything, but you hit me upside the head with some truth. So come on with it. What is the next point? No, no. Let me. How important is the mother tongue? I can't go past that. How important is that, sir?
When you when you talk about language, and there's an example in the Bible about languages. They say that there was a group of people who got together and they wanted to build a entryway or archway into heaven,
Mm-hmm.
but God didn't want them to get to heaven that way.
Yes, sir.
So he confounded their language so that they couldn't communicate. It,
Oh.
that's what happens when you don't get it to utilize your language.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to advance as a people is diminished or totally destroyed.
Mm.
And so
So
your mother tongue is very, very important.
yes, sir. And for those who are Bible students or history students, that's the Tower of Babel, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Babylon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know. See, you did say that you are a judge in the Afro-Descendant Nation, and you also wear a spiritual hat as a minister
Right.
of the Lost Found Nation of Islam. So you're well versed in quite a few areas. Did we talk about culture real quick?
Well,
How important is culture to us and having lost it and so forth?
it too is also important because in our culture we capsulize our mores, our norms, traditions. All of these things are made a part of our culture. Unfortunately, we have adopted a culture here in America that is not conducive to our well-being. Let's take, for example, the foods that we eat.
Yes, sir.
We call them soul food.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, they're slave food,
Yes, sir.
and they're not healthy.
Mm.
So the culture also helps you to pass from one generation to another those things that you have learned that will help you to survive and to advance forward in life. So
Mm.
culture is designed so that you can keep moving forward. So we have to have our culture.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to go back to something you said initially, if I may.
Yes, sir.
You have been a member of the Lost and Found Nation of Islam for a while. You said 1966,
1966.
and in listening to that, I heard of a book called How to Eat to Live. So that's what I think you're talking about now. There were
I
two
am.
How to Eat to Live books, one and two.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we'll have to get you back on to talk about that a little more. One more topic that's a part of number five is
Okay.
religion. You said religions when you were talking before. We are a people that do have a lot of beliefs. You care to address religion in terms of the definition of Afro-descendant and how it plays into our general overall concept of ourselves?
Yes, sir.
Please, thank you.
We have an identity as Muslims in the nation of Islam, contemporary Muslims, by the way, and we have an identity as Afro descendants. Now, our identity as Afro